In the world of endurance racing, few names have had as profound an impact as Don Panoz. Inspired by the prestigious 24 Hours of Le Mans, Panoz sought to bring the excitement and prestige of European endurance racing to the United States. Panoz wasn't content with just transforming the American racing scene, he had global ambitions. But how would he fare in Europe? Would he be a success, or would it all blow up in smoke? Well, here we are once again at Donington Park for the European Le Mans series, but not the one that we know of today. This is the 2001 edition, which was thought up by the legendary Don Panoz, who created the American Le Mans series back in 1999. As we all get a bit close on the crane of curves with the factory team car there, the LMP07. We're currently in the LMP1 Roadster S. It all goes a bit wrong there for the sister cars. It did in the actual 2001 race. It turned out, well, I'll explain a bit later, but yeah, we're currently in the LMP1 Roadster S, which is the car from the previous season, and this is the customer team Westwood Racing, which turns out there's not a lot of information about. I've tried looking up a bit about it, but it was launched by the former car team boss Peter Kuhn and F1 sports car engineers. Everyone goes a bit wide there at the last corner. Yeah, F1 sports car engineer Dave Sims. But this team only ever raced at this one race, so that's probably why there's no information about it. It's a very rough lift of it, but I'd actually quite like to make it as accurate as possible, because it is a very unique one-off thing, and I don't think there is one on the internet for the VCR mod of the Panoz. But yeah, as I was saying earlier, this is the idea that Don Panoz came up with. He loved the idea of the style of Le Mans racing, and he took it back to America with him, and it was incredibly successful. And then he decided to try and sell it back to us again in Europe, and it didn't quite work out. But yeah, as I was saying, this is going to be a bit of a sort of history lesson in the early beginnings of the American Le Mans series, and of course this one season of the European Le Mans series. But after the success of the ELMS, Panoz set sights on Europe in 2001, and he obviously launched the European Le Mans series in a bold attempt to extend the Le Mans endurance racing format across the Atlantic. Of course, the ACO already had the FAI GT1 racing, and he was hoping to attract top teams and manufacturers and drivers, which he had done very early on with the ELMS. Obviously, you had BMW V12 LMR, you had the Audi was it R8 to start with, and obviously then you had Panoz and Cadillac and Lola and Ferrari, even the 333 SP. And obviously he wanted a bit of that in Europe, and looking back, I would have loved that. So I can see where he's coming from. But the idea was to sort of link everything together like it is sort of currently now with IMSA and the World Endurance Championship sort of a cohesive. As we go for the inside of the Audi R8 there, it makes a bit of a mess with the exit, but we'll see if we've got the grunt down the straight after Coppice. But like I said, this car actually was incredibly quick during the race. I think it finished 4th overall, so I think if I can aim for that, at least that would be good. But of course the Audi R8s in this era of racing were unbeatable. They were invincible. They were just, after the first year they were on another level, and yeah, they got it very right for many years to come, as we get it all wrong and nearly get to the back. Like I said before in the previous Donington video, if you'd like to watch that about the World Endurance Championship potentially returning to the UK, click the link above. But as I said, I'm not very good at the Melbourne hairpin or Goddards, so that just proves that. But yeah, the idea was that the ELMS followed the same principles as the ELMS. As we get a good run on the Audi there, and we're going to stick it around the outsides, and that was just he's just pushed us off. It's just that was elbows out there. Goodness, I'm pretty sure the air have got a lot more aggressive, but we'll take it easy, clean the tyres up. And yeah, I think I had a bit of a gap behind us, so once we keep it clean, as we do, we will cut the chicane a lot during this race, but the AI also do it, so I think they are pretty quick this race actually, so I think for me to just be able to keep up, I think I'm going to have to take a few liberties there on that chicane. And before I was really interrupted by the Audi. Yeah, the idea was that the ELMS and the ALMS would be cohesive, like the IMSA and the WC, so that you can run a car in both and not have to have separate machines to run in separate series. But yeah, of course, you know, the races he lined up, you know, it was Donington Park, Monza, Nürburgring, which of course are, you know, if you're an American, they're the sort of the iconic tracks that you would like to take your car and race to. You really have to make the trip worth it, as it were, across the Atlantic to come race in Europe. But it did show great promise the first couple of races. The grids were strong, lineups, teams of drivers, manufacturers, you know, Audi, Panoz, and obviously you had Reynard, there's even Ascari in this one, and then the GT field, obviously you've got BMW, Porsche, you would have Chrysler, but they're not in this one. But yeah, in many ways, the ELMS was a continuation of Panoz' mission to keep good racing close to the spirit of Le Mans, and it did attract some of the biggest names in motorsport. And sort of the hope was that it would evolve into a long-term staple of European endurance racing to compete the likes with the FIA GT1. But unfortunately, despite the promising start, it did start to struggle. Not all the teams were turning up to all the races. I think by the end, I think it was a 25 car grid to start with, and I think it ended up being like only 15 cars by the last race of the season. So some of the classes only had like 1, 2 or 3 cars in it, so it wasn't particularly competitive at that point. Yeah, certainly they struggled with sponsorships and funding. So they already had an established endurance racing series, which was FIA GT1 Racing at the time, and British GT and other series like that. So the sponsors were already really taken for racing, and also with logistics as well. You know, trying to get a load of cars across the Atlantic and then back again for the ELMS races, and then back to Europe again for the ELMS races. And it was a lot. Even back then, the cost of it would have been astronomical. You know, say the likes of Audi and BMW certainly did it, and even Cadillac did. I mean, but they had a French team that stayed in Europe, and they had an American team that stayed in America. And the only time they convened was at Le Mans, so that's only one way around it. But for like these small privateer teams like this Westwood team here, so they only ever raced in one race. After only one season, it folded late in 2001, which unfortunately brought Panoz's ambitions and project to a premature end. But you know, it showed promise, and I always thought it was, you know, Panoz was a little bit ahead of his time, because we have a European Le Mans series now, and it started not too long afterwards. So yeah. So it also turned out actually that the ACA weren't particularly happy with how Panoz had set up the racing series with the rules that apparently weren't following the Le Mans guidelines to the letter, and also the fact that it was a indirect competition with the FIA GT1 Racing. And the idea was, I think Panoz wanted to sort of drown out the GT1 cars and focus on the LMPs, but I mean, in the end he was right. It went that way. But I guess the ACA wanted it to be their idea, not some American from across the pond coming over to tell them what to do. But say after the collapse, I mean, Don returned his focus on America, and they had decades of incredible racing over there in the ELMS, and then what was it after that? Was it Tudor sports car or something? And then yeah, I've blanked. But yeah, say they had decades and decades of successful racing, and what it is now, say, having a cohesive racing series across the world, it's what we have now in 2024. So he was only 30 odd years or so ahead of the curve. Yeah, while the ELMS, as Panoz envisioned it, was short-lived, its legacy certainly lives on as we get a load of Porsche traffic now, so we should be able to pick off some places. I'm not sure what position I'm in actually at this point. I think I might be in 4th. I think it's only Audi's ahead. Definitely it's 2 of them, so we'll see if we can get past this lap traffic. Hopefully I can get past. We'll see. Oh, I can feel like there might be some sort of accident coming, as while I'm looking what's happening in front of me, I'm not looking happening what's beside me. I thought I was well clear of that Porsche. Right, play it nice and safe around here. I think I have to duck down the outside. He's just going to come across. I'm on the grass, on the curb and the grass. Okay. I'm just trying. Oh, we've got an Audi. Oh, yep. He's just okay. The customer Golf liveried Audi has decided just to push off. The factory team one. Cool. So we're now up to second, I think, which is a lot further up than I thought we were, but you always have to take into account the AI's ability. But yeah, like I say, in a nutshell, Don Panoz' effort to launch the European Le Mans Series in 2001 was sort of a testament to his character, his boldness and commitment to growing endurance racing on a global scale. And in the end, he was a little bit ahead of his time. In 2004, the ACO came up with the European Le Mans Series, and it's been going ever since. Sort of a real key player in bringing up smaller teams up through to be able to compete at Le Mans with obviously an invitation if they win the championship. But yeah, I think, at the moment it's only LMP2 and GT3 LM, I think. But I think there have been rumoured and talks of hypercars potentially being able to run in the ELMS, which again, it leads right back to what Don Panoz had envisioned 30 years or so earlier before. So he was absolutely ahead of his time, ahead of the game. And certainly with American racing, what it is today, I think we have a lot to thank him for. And also these iconic cars that we dive down inside the beamer there. I remember during the race actually, when I think one of those caught fire in the pit lane, so yeah, you can always you can catch all these races on, I think it's on, if you go to the American Le Mans Series YouTube channel, which is still up, they have all the full races from 1999 all the way up to, as you go wide there, up to like 2012 possibly, I'm not sure, but it goes up, definitely 2009. But yeah, I always like to watch them just before I race them, just so I know what happened. I haven't set the weather quite right. It was a bit of an overcast, rainy day that day for the Donington Park ELMS race. But like I said, it was definitely dominated by the Audi, so it was very close actually between the customer Golf liveried Audi and the other two factory cars. And also there was a Chrysler LMP car that was actually, it was quite competitive. I think it qualified 4th or 5th. Yeah, like I said before, the Panoz have brought the new LMP07. We died on the inside, and we're gonna get. Yeah, I'm going to get stuck on the rear quarter panel. Unfortunately, we've just ruined that Beamer's race towards the end of the race, but I am picking up the pace. I do want to catch that leading Audi if I can, but I don't think that's going to happen. As I was saying, yes, the Panoz is that the red ones are going to be wide again. It's not helping. Yeah, the red ones we saw spinning off did that during the race actually, so that's quite realistic. Yeah, they were mostly untested, so they weren't particularly great. They didn't qualify that way either. And say the old car, this one, in the hands of a privateer team, did out-qualify them. And I think it did out-finish them actually. I think it finished, what did I say before? Finished 5th. And then the others, 6th and 8th, if I remember. Yeah, it was eventually won by Tom Christian Indo Capello, which are obviously names you'll hear a lot during the early noughties of Audi's dominance. Yeah, also you've got the Courage as well, C60. That was in there as well. Oh, that was the other GT cars here, the Saleen. I don't think I've really seen them. They're probably quite quick, so they're probably going to be... In fact, actually, speaking of, I think... Yeah, there's a Saleen up ahead there. There you go. Perfect timing. Yeah, so it's Porsche 911s, Saleens, and BMWs. Yeah, I do believe this is the last lap, and that's the leader. I think I'm going to send it. Here we go. On the inside. I haven't touched the Saleen, I haven't binned it. I think we've done it. It's penultimate corner, as long as I keep it clean. Which, I'll go a bit wide, but that's probably the best I've taken that corner. And I think we've done it. I think that was first place on the penultimate lap. Penultimate corner of the final lap. Well, there we have it. That was the 2001 edition of the European Le Mans Series. If you enjoy this style of history lesson, then please let me know, and if there's any races you'd like me to cover, pop it down in the comments and I'll give it a go. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.